Welcome to this deep dive into the world of cryptanalysis, where we are using your study materials to unlock the secrets of how hackers break encryption and, well, how defenders actually stop them.
Yeah, we are getting way past that Hollywood idea of hacking today.
Exactly. Let's jump right into slide 1, the Codebreaker's dossier, Mastering Cryptanalysis.
Right, so you see that visual on the slide, the padlock with the gears and letters. That really sets the stage here. Because this deep dive, we're going to cover the essential frameworks, the attack vectors, and the countermeasures that every single ethical hacker needs to master.
It's all about the actual math. So moving to slide 2, the hacker's goal, bypassing the key.
Yeah, and this is where we have to reframe things a bit. Cryptanalysis isn't just stealing a password. By definition, based on the source, it's the study of ciphers to extract plain text without knowing the cryptographic key or the algorithm.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second, because looking at the diagram on the slide, it shows the flow, right? Plain text goes through the encryption algorithm, and then it becomes ciphertext.
Yeah, exactly.
So where does the hacker actually intervene in that flow?
Well, attackers don't always need to attack the lock head-on. They look to exploit inherent weaknesses in the algorithm itself. Or they find side door vulnerabilities directly. They just want the plain text, Recovering the key is just one way to win.
Right, you don't need the key if you just take the door off the hinges. Let's turn to slide 3, the foundation. 4 code-breaking methods.
Okay, so this slide breaks down 4 very different approaches. The first one is brute force, which is just, systematically trying every possible key combination.
Just hammering at it until something clicks.
Literally. Then you have frequency analysis. This is where you study the statistical frequency of letters or groups of letters in the scrambled text. Because in any written language, certain combinations occur more often.
Wait, that's like, let's say you're watching a football game, right? And you don't know any of the rules of football.
Okay.
But by statistically tracking which player touches the ball the most often, you can just figure out who the quarterback is. You don't need the rule book.
Oh, that is a perfect analogy. Yes, you just map the behavior.
Right.
Then the third method is trickery and deceit. So social engineering, phishing, manipulation, just extracting the keys from the human element.
The weakest link.
Always. And the fourth one is the one-time pad, which is using non-repeating groups of completely random letter or number keys. It's actually a defensive concept representing perfect secrecy.
Because it's random, so you can't use that football frequency analysis on it. There's no pattern to track.
Exactly, yeah. It just looks like pure noise.
This leads us perfectly into slide 4, the brute force paradox. Success via speed.
What's fascinating here is how often people get tripped up by this on exams. Brute force guarantees eventual success, always, because it exhaustively tests every possible valid combination in a finite key space.
Right, but the trap is assuming brute force is inherently fast.
Exactly, it's a huge trap.
Like, you can speed it up. Sure, you can use distributed parallel processing environments, hook up 1,000 computers, but speed isn't what makes the attack successful. Exhausting every single combination is what makes it successful.
Right, speed is just an optimization of the hardware. The success is purely mathematical exhaustion.
So, based on this, pause for a second and think about this for your study notes. In 2 to 3 sentences, how would you explain to a colleague why a brute force attack is guaranteed to be successful, but why it isn't classified as a quote-unquote fast attack?
That's a really good way to test if you actually grasp the concept or if you just memorize the definition.
Exactly. So next up is slide 5, the big 3 types of cryptanalysis. This is getting into the heavy math.
Yeah, these are the core mathematical approaches. First is linear cryptanalysis. The goal here is finding linear or affine approximations to the cipher's action based on statistical differences.
So they're looking for a slight bias, like trying to draw a straight line through something designed to be totally scrambled.
Yes, exactly. Then you have differential cryptanalysis. This one works on the statistical differences between the ciphertexts of chosen data blocks. It's mostly applicable to symmetric key algorithms.
So you feed it 2 inputs that are almost identical, and watch how that tiny difference ripples through the encryption.
Right, the avalanche effect.
Yeah.
And then the third one is integral cryptanalysis, which is super useful against block ciphers. It essentially extends that differential analysis into highly complex networks.
And that brings up a huge rule. Let's zoom in on that last one on slide 6, identifying integral cryptanalysis. Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, if you look at the exam key on this slide, it shows this complex diagram.
The substitution permutation network.
Right, the SP network. It has S boxes, which substitute data, and P boxes, which permutate or shuffle data.
But there is a strict rule you have to remember here, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely non-negotiable. When you see block ciphers based on substitution permutation networks, the answer is always integral cryptanalysis.
Always.
It is a hard mapping. Do not pick linear. Do not pick differential. SP networks equal integral cryptanalysis.
Okay, so take a moment right now to formulate a 2 to 3 sentence response for this. What is the specific architectural trigger word you should look for to identify an integral cryptanalysis vulnerability?
Just lock that trigger word into your memory. It will save you points.
Definitely. Moving to slide 7, the attacker's arena. What do you have?
So this slide has an image of a scale. It's balancing plain text, the readable stuff, against ciphertext, the scrambled stuff.
And this really sets up the logic for the next few slides, right? Because every cryptographic attack type is basically categorized by what the hacker currently possesses and, well, what inputs they can actively control.
Exactly. It's a scale of attacker power.
Let's look at how that plays out on slide 8. The Rosetta Stone. Known versus chosen plaintext. Honestly, it's so easy to get known and chosen mixed up. How do we keep them straight?
Let's break it down based on the quiz data. With known plaintext, the attacker has both the plaintext and the resulting ciphertext. But, and this is the key, they cannot choose the text. They just analyze what they found to make conclusions and deduce the key.
Like finding a completed crossword puzzle right next to a blank version of the same puzzle?
Oh,
You didn't pick the words, but looking at them side by side, you figure out the creator's logic.
Right, you're just observing. Now, contrast that with chosen plaintext. Here, the attacker actively chooses the plaintext to be encrypted.
So they have some kind of access.
Yes, by feeding specific crafted inputs into an encryptor device, they can uncover patterns in the cryptographic output to break the key.
So that's like handing the crossword creator a very specific, weird list of words and watching exactly how they build the puzzle around your input.
Yes, you are actively probing the logic.
Now let's level that up on slide 9. The battleship game. Adaptive chosen plaintext.
The massive keyword here is interactive. With an adaptive attack, the hacker makes a series of interactive queries. They choose their subsequent plaintexts based entirely on information gained from previous encryptions.
So they're having a conversation with the system, like the battleship analogy on the slide. You call out B4, you hear miss, so you actively adapt and guess C4 based on that direct feedback.
Exactly. It's an iterative feedback loop.
So think about this for your next 2 to 3 sentence response. What is the defining difference between a standard chosen plaintext attack and an adaptive chosen plaintext attack?
It really comes down to that interaction.
To summarize these, we move to slide 10, the cryptographic attack diagnostic matrix.
This is a great cheat sheet table. Let's just re-emphasize the logic quickly. Ciphertext only means the attacker has the ciphertext only. Known plaintext, they have both, but no input choice.
Right.
Chosen plaintext, they have both, and they can make a static input choice. And then adaptive chosen plaintext, they have both, and can make an interactive or iterative input choice.
It's just escalating levels of leverage. But hackers have other tricks, which brings us to slide 11, the hacker's toolbox, alternative vectors.
Right, these don't fit neatly into that matrix. The slide lists 5 alternative methods. First is the related key attack. That's where they obtain ciphertext encrypted under 2 different keys.
Next is the dictionary attack, right?
Yeah, that involves constructing a massive database of plain text and matching ciphertext over time, trading time for memory. Then there's the timing attack. This one measures the exact execution times of modular exponentiation operations.
Wait, I love this one. They literally measure how long it takes the computer's processor to do the math.
Yes, down to the fraction of a millisecond. It's a side-channel attack,
That is wild. And then there's the rubber hose attack.
which is decidedly less elegant. That's extracting secrets, like passwords, through physical coercion or torture.
Beating it out of someone.
Unfortunately, yes. And lastly, the chosen key attack, where you break a ciphertext specifically to break into a larger dependent system.
Okay, before we move on, write this down. In 2 to 3 sentences, how would you describe the difference between a timing attack and a dictionary attack? They operate on completely different principles.
Totally different. One is physical hardware monitoring, the other is just a massive pre-computed database.
So how do we stop all of this? Let's look at slide 12, the defender's shield, countermeasure architecture. So what does this all mean for a security architect?
Well, it means you need defense in depth. We have 3 layers here. Layer 1 is network and transfer. You deploy intrusion detection systems, or IDS, to monitor key exchanges.
And you never transfer private keys for certificate signing over the network, right?
Absolutely prohibit that. Keep it off the wire. Layer 2 is the storage layer. When you store keys on disks, encrypt them using strong passphrases or passwords, restrict direct access so only specific applications or users can touch them.
And layer 3, the deepest one.
The core code base. You'd be surprised how often this happens, but never leave keys present inside source code or compiled binaries.
Don't hard code your passwords.
Exactly. It's like building an impenetrable vault and taping the combination to the front door.
All right, so grab your notes again. Write a quick 2 to 3 sentence policy for your imaginary company. How will you secure cryptographic keys across the network, storage, and code base layers?
It's good practice to actually draft that out.
Moving to slide 13, the golden rule for symmetric algorithms.
This is a firm security baseline. For symmetric algorithms, especially when you're dealing with large transactions, always use a key size of 168 bits or 256 bits.
Just do not settle for lower bit rates anymore.
No, computational power is just too strong now. 128-bit just isn't enough to withstand massive dictionary or brute force attacks.
Let's look at the software used in the real world on slide 14, tools of the trade.
The source mentions a few specific ones. For education and learning, there's the CryptTool project. It develops e-learning programs for cryptography and cryptanalysis. It includes modules like CT1, CT2, JCT, and CT0.
Really good for getting hands-on with this stuff.
Very much so. And on the offensive side, it lists the MD5 decryption tool and the MD5 decoder.
And those are for breaking complex hash functions, right?
Yes, often utilizing distributed processing and rainbow tables to tear through those hashes.
Finally, we wrap up with slide 15, the final level, certification quick sheet.
Let's do a rapid-fire review to solidify this for your exam prep. Confirmed facts versus known traps.
Hit me with the facts first.
Fact 1. Brute force guarantees success by exhaustive testing. Fact 2. Adaptive plaintext requires interactive queries. Fact 3. Integral cryptanalysis targets block ciphers and substitution permutation networks.
SP networks. Got it. And the traps.
Trap 1. Assuming brute force is fast. It's not. Trap 2. Confusing known plaintext with chosen plaintext. Known is just observational. Chosen is active probing.
Awesome. Thank you for taking this deep dive through the slide deck with us. I really hope you nailed those 2 to 3 sentence answers.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, I want to leave you with a thought. As mathematical encryption reaches these near uncrackable levels, like those 256-bit symmetric keys.
The math gets practically perfect.
Right. So will the future of hacking move entirely away from the algorithms? Are we just going to see a total shift towards the flaws of human psychology and physical security?
Like the rubber hose attack becoming the default. Because why spend a million years cracking a math problem when you can just extort the guy holding the key?
Exactly. The systems are only as secure as the people running them.
That is a terrifying but very real point. Keep reviewing those notes, keep questioning the systems around you, and we will catch you on the next one.